Hi, my name is Keesa V. Johnson, and I'm an MDes candidate, a Master of Integrative Design at the University of Michigan Penny Stamp School of Art and Design, and I'm here to study equity and access in food systems. Equity is a huge component when it comes to sustainability in our food systems. Our food system was broken from the very beginning. And equity means about looking at the deep healing, taking deep healing for ourselves and really making it meaningful and going through the pain and the sorrow of the land being taken away from of the indigenous people and telling the truth about a lot of the agricultural practices that we use today. It's based on indigenous knowledge. So it's about healing. Equity is about healing. Design is everything when we talk about the future, especially when it comes to sustainability. We all are designers. We all have a space in this world. We all design life together. And design is an intuitive process, which means that we get to the same place together. And so design is really about the matrix of life. And we all need to be designers. We all need to step up in certain areas in space to help design a better foreseeable future for us all. So how does design help establish equity? It really depends on the designer, the type of designer that I'm studying to become, which is a systems thinker. We can't look at the center all the time. We have to look at the peripheral. And so we're looking at our own values, how we see things economically, how we see things socially, how we see them technologically, how we look at things from an ecology space. And so we're looking at all these systems with these various lenses where we're not just looking at it from our personal selves, we're looking at it from a whole of humanity. And we have to be quite humble when we're entering into spaces that we're not the experts, but we are the experts when it comes to design. And so as designers, you kind of go through a lot of self-actualization and some healing within yourself, so you're able to be a better healer when you're entering into design spaces to establish the equity. So amazing things that are happening when it comes to sustainable futures in the food systems. For me, you really have to look back. I'm more about the type of designer that is a part of Sankofa, where you look to the past while you're in the present, and then you're designing the future. And so for me, when you look at agriculture, there's been eons of agricultural practices from Black indigenous knowledge that when we look at modern day agriculture, we think that it's some new type of invention, but it's been around for like centuries. So one big, huge one, I think, is the father of regenerative science, which is George Washington Carver. He was also the one who gave us not just the peanut and all the many different patents that come from the peanut, but he also introduced composting. Composting came from George Washington Carver. Also, when we look at community systems such as like CSAs or food banks, that really came from the Black church. Because of all the racial uphill, we had to kind of come together and be able to build things collectively. So when you hear the word food co-ops, food hubs, that originated from the Black church. Other things that I get excited about when it comes to sustainable futures and it comes to the many inventions is the seed sower by Henry Blair. He invented that like in 1870, and we still use that today. A lot of the big mechanism systems when it comes to modern day agriculture is built off that technology. Also, the modern day refrigeration techniques when we're sending food in big freights, sending them to different grocery stores, that was invented by a Black man. And he has that patent on that. And those are some of the things that we don't like quite talk about. I also like a lot of the seed saving techniques from indigenous cultures here in the United States. When it comes to the Native Americans, their seed saving techniques have been around for centuries and ages. I'm just in awe and bow that currently today we're still using the same types of systems. We're just using a lot of mechanisms to extract the seed versus keeping it. So the importance of this history is it goes back to equity and healing the wrongs that have been done within this country and within this system. The food system is a broken system. It's been broken since its inception, and it's been built off the backs of many slaves and also the many bloody treaties with the indigenous people of this land. When colonization came, they extracted the people and they extracted the maintenance of the land. And so now we're in this like climate chaos because the land has been in upheaval, not just with the people, but also the soil. And so it's a huge part of equity when we're going through that space and we're actually feeling the feelings that comes with all the hurt and pain of millions and millions of people giving their lives for something that's a disaster. And so equity is actually looking at the actual history and saying, okay, I see where the wrongs have been done. So now how can I make this right? How can we make it right? How can we heal the land together? So a huge part of my research is in equity and access in food systems. And for me, I wanted to become a 21st century designer. So I chose to be in a 21st century place. The University of Michigan Campus Farm is a living learning laboratory for me to be able to practice what equity and access means. A huge part of my research is looking at audiopoiesis, which is about self-generating living systems. And so I'm here to look at humanity, how we interact collectively with the plants and the insects and the bees, and how the soil has all this rich carbon and how do we keep pulling the carbon back in. And so I'm able to see the future a lot better by knowing that between the seed and the soil and the food, I'm able to build a better future for not just myself, but other people around me.